G'day everyone, how's it going? Hope you're all well. Thanks for tuning in today. Not a very exciting video today. I just thought I'm going to do a bit of a walk around, a bit of a tour of the old Beamer and what I think of it so far. To be honest, I'm absolutely in love with my old BMW. I got a soft spot for old BMWs. I always had. I used to have an old Airhead BMW, a 65. I had a couple of old Beamers. Yeah, I got a soft spot for them. I don't fancy the new electronic everything bikes anymore. After what, it's been 43 years of motorcycles. So most of the motorbikes I grew up on, you know, they were very basic. No ABS, no anything like that, no electronic aids. Please excuse the insects today. This is Australia in the summer, the Aussie bush. The insects are just thick at the moment. But anyway, let's start our little tour. I guess we'll start with the brakes and suspension. I love the telly lever front end on these. If you're not familiar with that, they're just they're like a big wishbone, as you can see, that swings off the motor. You got your two normal front shocks, and you've got a rear shocky in the back there. And yeah, I really love this. It's the first motorcycle I ever owned with that telly lever front end, and it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. It's just brilliant. There's no dive in the braking. When you're hard on the front brakes, there's no dive, and the bike just sort of squats a little bit, just stays. Yeah, it's beautiful. But I have noticed you can really be hard on the front brakes and you can still steer the bike wherever you want. Not like a conventional bike where you just really ride it forward on the picks. You can still control it where you want it to go. A lot easier than you can conventional suspension. The brakes are Brembo. The front brakes are actually quick release pads, so they just come out the top there, so that's nice and handy. These bikes run a central ABS pump, so it's powered brakes. And yeah, they can be a little bit, well, some of these pumps have been notoriously bad in these older Beamers, but this bike's done 84,000 Ks now, which is barely run in for this type of engine. I mean, these engines do a couple of 100,000 kilometres plus, easy. Yeah, but that's probably the only thing on these, the ABS pumps can be. I think it's still a lack of maintenance. Due to a lack of maintenance, they play up. This bike's never had issues with its ABS system. It's been regularly serviced, the ABS pumps, and it wasn't serviced not that long ago. So yeah, it's had all the major servicing and work done to it at about 79,000 Ks. So yeah, so that's good. It's about $350 I've been quoted to get the ABS serviced on it. So yeah, the brakes are outstanding, the Brembo brakes on this, and the powered assisted brakes, because it's a link system, like you put on the front and it chucks in a little bit of back at the same time, or you put the back brake on, it chucks in a bit of front at the same time. But they've got the mix really nicely right. It's really good. I like how they've got the mix. They got that well. I don't even use the rear brake on this. It's just gentle little touches on the front, and you get miles of braking. Just, yeah, the brakes are awesome actually on this thing. Just let this car go past. Yeah, but they're just such well-built bikes, these old Beamers. It's 16 years old and it rides like it's still a brand new bike. There's no rust on it, there's no corrosion, they're just such well-built, solid old things. It's very basic, there's no electronics on it. Oh, you got electric windscreen. Got a speedo, a tacho. Got up down for your headlights, you can adjust them there. Got heated hand grips. Got a glove box. Got speakers in there that used to run to because this was a police bike, so they're the old police switches. It used to run a CB in here but I'm thinking about putting a radio or something in here just to hook something up to the speakers, get them going again. Yeah, very low revving engine. They're about 93 horsepower and they make 100 Newton meters of torque. No, they only rev to 7,500 for redline. Honestly, I hardly rev this bike past 4,000 RPMs. It's just got endless wafts of big torque in it. It's just nice, usable amounts of torque. You just got power everywhere you want on it, basically. But they're not a high revving engine. They're not fast. You know, they don't accelerate really fast or anything like that. They're not a fast accelerating bike, but they're not slow either. But they've just made everything really practical on these old things. Easy to live with. And you can fix everything yourself on it, just about. We'll let this car go again. Just drove down the end of the road to do a fucking burnout. You fucking loser. Here's your cruise control. You can just lock the throttle in wherever you want, but you can override it. So that's your cruise control. That won't go wrong, will it? Yeah, like I said, electric windscreen, cruise control. It's got hazard lights. The panniers are awesome. Just lift it up. To take the whole thing off, you can just lift it off the bike. And then you lift the next one up to just open it. Yeah, what I carry in here is some tyre repair kits. I've got a little tool kit, some duct tape, some wet weather gear, some hockey straps, water, a packet of crisps. One thing I've noticed about this bike, you don't need wet weather gear. If you're doing over 40k an hour, you don't get wet on this bike. I've been in pouring rain on the motorway at 100k an hour and I didn't get wet. They've got all the shapes right, the angles of the big fairing here. The fairing covers your legs, covers your feet as well. Yeah, you just don't get wet on it. It's really good for weather. For a big bike, it's very light. It's very light and flickable once it's going, but when it's parked, it's heavy. It's, you know, it's 300k bike, 300 kilo. But once you go on, it's light and graceful as a ballerina, and outstanding on a wet road, on any road basically. This bike just handles. I'm surprised for its age, and its suspension's not, you know, it's pretty primitive, I guess, for these days, but works fine. It handles brilliantly, this thing, and on a wet road it's just so safe. It feels so safe and planted. I think that's a lot to do with the weight. Plus I got the new Pirelli GTs on it, new Angel GT2s. They're not really nice tyres, the Pirellis. But yeah, she's just a big old beamer. You got a couple of power outputs there, 12 volt outputs for camping or something like that. Yeah, I don't really know what else to tell you about it, really. I just made everything easy and practical on it. I mean, to get the, you just lift the seat up there, you can take that, your seat comes off just as easy as that. You can adjust your seat height, so that's handy. There's your air filter. They've made the fuse box easy to get at. The air filter's easy to change. The battery is just here under the tank. But these panels on both sides come off really easy. It's like 5 minutes with a cordless drill, and you can have that panel off, and the battery just slides out from underneath the tank. But other than that, yeah. They put a little door in the back of the headlight here, so if you blow a bulb, It's easy to change the bulbs in the headlight here. You just can reach through the front there. And your speedo cable is really easy to get at too. If your speedo cable dies, you can just change that quite easily as well. It's just lots of little things on it. It's got fog lights too as well. So it's just, I found it a very easy bike to live with. They're a little bit higher maintenance than the normal bike because you've got to do the transmission and the clutch is separate from the engine on these. So you've got your engine, your big old dry clutch, and then your gearbox. But you don't have to take any fairings off to change the oil or the filter on these. It's all underneath. That's just hollow underneath there, that fairing. So it's easy to change the oil. It's easy to change the gearbox oil and the final drive. You do have preload adjustment and spring rate. You just take this off. I'll take it off anyway. So you can just pop that panel off. You can adjust your spring rate there. The rear shock, the front shock's non-adjustable. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, I guess, isn't it? It's a tour of the old Beamer. They're a bit like a Volkswagen Beetle. You either love them or you hate them. Personally, I used to have a Beetle and I loved it, and that's probably where I got my bug for Beamers. I just got a thing for old BMWs. I really love the older BMWs. I've always had a soft spot for these RTs. I just love their shape and the fairing style and that. I would have preferred an R100, an old Airhead from the 80s or something like that, but they're just getting so hard to find now, and they're so expensive as well. They're going through the roof in price. I had a beautiful R65, and yeah, I regret selling that now because now they're like about 10,000 bucks. I've seen them for now. And I only bought that bike for about 3 grand, I think. That was about 7 or 8 years ago. And I sold it for about four something. And yeah, now they've skipped up to 10 grand nearly. So yeah. But I think these old RTs and 1150s and 1100s will start to go up in value too eventually. So yeah, they've made everything easy to change on it. Your mirrors they just pop off. You can just pull them off. Just like this. And there you go, that's how you change the bulb in that. They just clip back on. I've made that really easy. Yeah, it's just lots of little things. But she's got no leaks. Like I said, no rust, no corrosion, no anything. It's just, yeah, in really, really good. It's been well looked after bike. It's got a full service history for everything, for its whole life. And like I said, yeah, 84,000 Ks for one of these bikes is just running. It's nothing. I'm on a 1150 group on Facebook, and a lot of the Americans are nearly up to 200,000 miles on them and still running great. So just goes to show you the longevity of the engine. About the only thing you change in these engines is the cam chain tensioners, I guess. I don't think you have to change the cam chain in them. Just do the tensioners. Keep your tappers, the old manual tappets, keep them adjusted every 20,000 Ks, I guess, 10,000 Ks or so. That's an easy job. Yeah, but the more I own it, the more I ride it, the more I fall in love with it. I've no desire to own anything else now, really. Might grab a CRF 300L for around the farm. We'll see how we go. It's change we got. We're actually building a new house this year, and some bed and breakfast cabins. So might be a little bit of money left over for a CRF 300L just for around the paddock again. Sort of missing trail bikes again, but we'll see. I was going to buy a just another road bike for Rolly. My mate from England that's coming over for holidays. to ride, but he's not sure if he can get here now. It's because of all this COVID rubbish. So we've hold off on that for a bit till we see what's happening. Yeah, I guess that's my little vid for today. I've waffled on enough. I shall put the Beamer back together and head on home. Anyway, cheers for watching. Have a good one.